Yo, what's good YouTube, it's boardzy, and with 2025 halfway over, I wanted to cover the best mice that have released this year until this point. So that will not include the Viper V3 Pro, a 2024 release. There are always a few people who get confused. And yeah, there are some mice that dropped literally in the past week, like the OP1 V2 and the ATK U2. So I will be checking those out in the future, but this is more of a recap of the first half of the year if you haven't been as in tune with the mouse market. I'm going to start off with some honorable mentions, just changes to the same shapes many of you are familiar with. The WLMouse Beast X Pro and the Finalmouse ULX Prophecy. The ULX I won't focus as much on because I don't even think they have another drop planned, but my Prophecy units, the Terra and the Tfue specifically, they did feel great. The Beast X Pro, the main feature it came with was solid sides as opposed to the slits WLMouse had become known for, but also around a month ago, WLMouse released a firmware update where they finally fixed some of the sensor issues that I mentioned in all of my WLMouse reviews, which many people, they said I was crazy, I was experiencing placebo, I was biased, but it turns out I was right. To be fair, I thought the issue was wireless interference, but now that they've finally made high speed mode available on all polling rates, something Vaxee had mastered with their competition mode, and I was preaching for a while, the wireless signal integrity just feels better. It just felt lackluster for a 3950 on all of WLMouse's implementations, but now it is finally better. Same thing goes for a Strider. It's a real honorable mention. I feel like this is just a worse XM2 shape. I really hate the holes in the side and towards the back, but now at least the wireless is better. Click feels good on this. This is like a lighter XM2 alternative, but I just can't really vouch it. Now the Zywoo EC2DW, a total different style of mouse. This is just the iconic EC2 shape. They also have the EC1 and the EC3, neither of which I've tried in this form, but yeah, it's classic Zywoo feel. I don't know what to say. It's like the CW, but now it has 4000 hertz polling rate, and it's called the DW, and it's a bit lighter. It's not the lightest ergo, but it just feels it feels like a Zywoo mouse. Have I said that 8 times? And yeah, I guess this will become the impromptu ergo section with the Tevolution Terra Pro, a G703 practically one-to-one clone, which was really hyped up because I feel like people thought they liked the G703 shape, but I don't see anybody really using it anymore. But yeah, this came in at 52 grams. There's obviously the recent release, the Pulsar Zywoo mouse. I'll also cover the Tenz mouse, the Pro Player mice. And yeah, this is more of like an Outset AX style of shape. Somebody actually told me in the comments that Zywoo palm grips and his fingers don't touch the pad at all. When I understood that, I started to like grip this mouse in a different way, and it is a very nice, like extremely high profile shape for palm, but for my hand, I do prefer something a bit more elongated, more natural, so to speak, with the EC2. So of the ergos that I've released this year, which ones did I not even cover? It's just the Lamzu Pero and the Ponage Stormbreaker CF. Really, if you're interested in ergos, I would say wait a week or two. Wink, wink. Yeah, I realized I didn't include the Kaisona Uranus Pro. I will make a budget version of this video where I include mice like the Ippy Float and other budget offerings as well. One thing to note with the Zywoo mouse, in my original video, like my first impressions, I said it seemed like they had a mechanism that made it so side-to-side wobbling wasn't possible. But after a few days of use, it seemingly became possible, and people are also reporting some disconnecting issues with the Zywoo mouse, so maybe it's like a wait a batch type of scenario, but yeah, otherwise the quality is still holding up on my unit. And yeah, I'm just aiming to give you guys a brief overview. I've covered most of these mice in individual videos if you do want more detail, but yeah, now it's time to talk about the Tenz mouse and the Lamzu Inca. We have the high profile claw grip section, and of course the Lamzu Inca, taking inspiration from the ZA13, is a much more narrow mouse, so it really does just have a completely different feeling in the hand. If you do want something bulkier and really just wider in general, then I can give a recommendation to the Tenz mouse. But yeah, the Inca being thinner and a handful of grams lighter, it does just have a bit more of a nimble feeling to it, and if you do have smaller hands, it's still obviously very high profile, but it's a bit more of an accommodating, less like overwhelming, I guess, of just your hand when it comes to the shape. And yeah, depending on what mice you've used in the past, if you're a fan of the X2H, you'll probably fare better with the Tenz mouse. But if you're a ZA13 fan, then the Inca really is the closest like modern lightweight option. Zywoo obviously has their own version, but it is still in the mid 60 gram range. Now it's just going to be a few Gwolves fingertip mice. WLMouse also released the Meow, but in the low 30 gram range, I just don't really know if that cuts it when you consider that the Gwolves Fenrir series is in the low 20 gram range with the asymmetrical option, which is obviously much lower profile, being I believe 21 and then the Fenrir Max is 23 on my scale. And these shapes are very interesting because I'm very close to enjoying a fingertip mouse. I like the button height and just overall size of the Max version, but I actually do enjoy the right side. It's a very natural feeling for a fingertip mouse on the asymmetrical option. So maybe like a Fenrir Max Asym would be the perfect shape for me, but really I don't gravitate towards fingertip mice in any circumstance, but for people who do, I think they are getting very good. They're not getting very affordable. And yeah, with the side buttons, I wouldn't recommend using them for Fortnite, but they really do get the job done. Click quality is solid, really just no quality issues on these mice to note. Yeah, I really can't stand the holes that are in the clicks of the mouse, so I do have to throw on grip tape, but other than that, I mean, these are a great lightweight option. I always think like, oh, I'll use fingertip mice and I'll finally get it, but it just never happens. Like, eventually you gotta accept that some things aren't for you. Now I'm gonna quickly talk about the Vaxee options that released this year. The NP01s was towards the start of the year. I remember I was testing it in 2024, and this is a mouse I just feel like I should use more. Like, I love the shape, I love the weight. Obviously, Vaxee's clicks and tech are like the best of the best, but I think it's just a factor of the side buttons, which are just a bit small and awkward for Fortnite. Maybe like the sensor, I don't even know. I truly don't know why I don't use this mouse more, but I should. It's a very good mouse. The XE, on the other hand, it's just a shape that I really don't like. It's because I'm able to like pinch these parts of the shell, but I can't get the back hump actually to sit comfortably in my palm. So it's just like I'm constantly, when I apply pressure, I'm like pushing the mouse upwards and it's slippery. It's just not a shape that I can find any grip that I actually enjoy on. I've always looked at it as a GPX alternative. You can see the fresh dust on my GPX, but it was just like it never really outspec'd it or gave me a reason to use it over it. But I do know some pro players do enjoy the XE shape, so that's kind of where I stand on that. Yeah, I'm not sure it's planned for Vaxee's future because I don't think they're going to make an updated Outset AX. I mean, possibly a new shape, or they might just go dark on mice for a while. Now, Gwolves, the Hati S Ultra, this is one of the most underrated mice on the market. Like, this is my hit scan hyperlight. This is the only small claw grip mouse that I actually like truly enjoy, and it's because it is like a wider, higher profile shape that I do have a lot of history with, and this is just a great version of it. It's like 34 grams, wireless, high sensor position, and yeah, I just can't figure out why it's not more popular. I feel like in terms of weight, it was another lightweight breakthrough. Maybe it's too light, people don't want anything below 40 grams, but it just does seem like this is under the radar, and just, it's $120. It's not even like it's egregiously expensive considering the feature set. And it's probably in my top 3 like full-size mice under 40 grams. I would say the Hati S Ultra, ULX medium or small, and then the Pulsar Crazylight. And yeah, I'm not going to make it seem like I've been born again and I'm some type of small mouse power user. The majority of my time is certainly put on mice like the Viper V3 Pro, XM2W, just these larger style claw-friendly shapes. But when it comes to small mice, these are honestly my top recommendations. Yeah, I'm not going to ignore the elephant in the room. This is an X2 Crazylight with a zebra swirl, a reimagined zebra design. This is a prototype of the boardzy edition, which will be dropping later this summer, sooner than later. And yeah, this is the only copy I have on hand, otherwise I wouldn't have shown it. But yeah, there are a ton of Crazylights. Pulsar is going crazy with Crazylights, like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They have a T1 edition, there's a Paper Rex version, I believe Random Frank P is going to have a version, so there's a lot of Crazylights coming out. I just wanted to fucking, nudge my way in there with this zebra design, which I don't know if people are going to love or hate. Pretty shortly after the Zebra X2 dropped, this design was decided on. Obviously, an X2H Zebra never came out. So it came until after my Crazylight review. Pulsar asked, like, do you want to do a custom version? And it's like, sure. Unfortunately, not able to get custom switches. That's a discussion for a later date. But back to the Crazylight. Basically, last year, the X2 Mini became outdated with the same shape in the low 50 gram range. It just felt dense, and there were so many 40 gram small mice releasing. So this was Pulsar's response. 36, 37 grams, depending on the skates you use. And it's just really a solid all-around option if you're somebody who liked the X2 Mini and want something lighter. I believe my version is going to have a slightly smaller battery, so for like minuscule weight savings. Yeah, I would recommend watching my full review if you want to watch more, similar to the other mice mentioned. And now, last but not least, is going to be the Orbital Pathfinder, which was definitely the most innovative release of the year, but it's just not something I really find myself using. I do see some people really experimenting with this mouse, and as a concept, it's really really incredible, just being able to change up the shape like pretty significantly on the fly. There is some like a limited nature, especially when it comes to the humps. Like, you can't just copy the exact design of any mouse on the market. That's not quite how this works. But if you are somebody who doesn't really know what you prefer in terms of shape, or just want to try out a lot of different shapes without buying a lot of mice, that's really where I think this comes in. And yeah, value on this is really interesting because at 190, it's tied for the most expensive mouse in this video with the WLX. And I think you obviously get so much more functionality with this. It's not like you're just getting a singular shape. But if I were to choose like simply using the 38 gram WLX, I would prefer that performance-wise. And you can consider the fact that any other mouse I mentioned in this video, you can get fully furnished cheaper than the Pathfinder. But I still think there is a market for it, even though it may be a niche one. And that's going to be all for this video, covering the best releases of 2025 so far. This year has gotten a reputation as a pretty dry one for mice. I can see why. It's just a lot of remasters of shapes we're familiar with, not many truly exciting releases. So yeah, there have been good options that released this year, but some of them, like the Hati Ultra Crazylight, they released very early on. So it feels like we haven't had any new great budget mice, great small mice in a little bit now, but who knows? Next half of the year, things could shake up. That's going to be all, though. Like and sub if you enjoyed, comment if you have any comments, and that's going to be all. Peace out.